Well, happy New Year. That seems my part of my hair seems to always kind of go in the same spot. I just wash and brush my hair today. Happy New Year. I want to talk today. I guess I want to talk a bit about hypnosis. Uh, I was watching a video today on what was it called? I don't remember. It was by a channel called Artificially Aware. And we're talking a lot. At the time, it was about sexual liberation, and how it's actual slavery. And it is, right? So, uh, so fuck, there was so many points that got me thinking. It got me thinking about myself and my own little kind of experience in this world. One of the concepts I wanted to talk about was conditioning. But before that, even, I want to get into, I want to talk about, so the video I was watching was a lot about porn and how, I guess porn addiction and sex addiction is really no different than crack addiction. And it's been found like time after time that seems to be that it's basically the same thing. And it is. So with masturbation or with people who do sexually deviant acts, or even, well, let's talk about pornography, right? A common thing that'll happen. Now, I got introduced to pornography young. I guess, I wouldn't say introduced, but me and another kid found a couple nudie bags on a hill when we were in grade 3. So I was 8 years old, first time I'd seen it. I don't remember how the heck I ended up getting caught for that. I remember we found a porno magazine, me and my friend, and we'd seen it and that. And then I remember later on, I know my parents found out. And then my dad asked me, "Oh, do you like what you saw?" And I was like, I think I said no, or whatever. I don't know. I guess my dad always wanted to know if I'd lie to him. And when I was young, I don't know if I even have principles now. I do in some ways. I have some principles now, but I don't think I would lie to anybody. I don't know. I don't get put on the spot like that anymore. Like, I don't have the same kind of emotional influences anymore. Like back then, I thought, oh no, that, I guess I wouldn't lie in that circumstance today, but I'm different today. And I guess nothing would put that kind of, the same kind of, like I was weak when I was young. When I was 8 years old. And it's like, oh, wait, what 8-year-old isn't weak? But there are some 8-year-olds that would just tell the truth and be like, yeah, I like looking at girls' titties. And me, I don't know what I said. I don't think I said I didn't like it. Like I said, I don't know, and I was all squeamish and all the rest of that. And but anyway, I wouldn't say that. That wasn't anything that would have traumatized me or anything. And they were grown women and stuff. But I became very promiscuous when I was young. like 13 and such. And uh, I had a lot of my younger years. So I was very like, sex was like a way to validate myself. I was like, and it was a period of time when like women just kind of like ignored me, and I'd lost my self worth because I couldn't. Because got into this PUA stuff. I want to talk to you guys about my life, man, because I've had a lot of challenges too. I've freaking I did everything, man. I was fucking crazy. I was lost too, man. I still am. I'm just as lost, man, as anybody else. It's just wild, man. I've been seeking for a long time. I guess not that long. I mean, what is seeking? How much effort have I been putting into this seeking that I claim to have been doing? I don't know. Anyway, the way the narrative goes, or the way it's said, is that you start off with some minor stuff like Playboy. I've been through this actually. You see, my own journey too in pornography was also similar. You start having experiences with girls and stuff. Then you get into this porn on the internet, which takes you into other genres of kinks, right? So you may get into one kink or another kink. And some of it's like violent too. Like there's like cuckold porn, uh, which isn't like, it's not rape or anything like that, but it's kind of uh, it's kind of a form of violence to violate somebody's marriage, right? And there's like humiliation kind of porn. So when I got into oh fuck, there was a point in my life I was masturbating 3 times a day, and and I was married at the same time, and I had an addiction to touching my willy like constantly, and I was married before I got into hypnosis. Hypnosis came afterward. I learned that later. Although I always kind of studied like NLP and stuff, and I'd always kind of, even like during my marriage, so-called marriage, I was still studying a lot of. I always had a book on some kind of self-help book. Usually, self-help was the biggest thing. I, I spent a lot of time in my life doing that. And it all seems to help. But what really, really helped was conditioning. Right. So not so much hypnotic conditioning, but actually, as a matter of fact, if you like that's how self hypnosis works, right? You just keep self hypnotizing yourself to having the same experience, and it imprints on you. I want to talk about that shit, some of that stuff, because I no longer, well, I don't want to teach hypnosis. I couldn't teach hypnosis anymore. Or I say hypnosis, but what I'm really talking about is maybe neuro-linguistic programming. You see, there's another pseudoscience. I guess I would just talk to you about my theories on the mind, right? Because certain things work, but they're not true, right? So one of my mentors was Mark Cunningham. And what Mark Cunningham said is that children are born a blank slate. They're born a blank slate. All that they're born with is a fear of loud noise, something, and a fear of loud noises. And everything else is like learned. But anyway, I don't remember what the actual saying was that he used to say. It's been a long time since I've studied this kind of stuff. But anyway, there's a lot of psychologists come from the viewpoint that when human beings are born, we come into this world, we don't know anything except to suck the boob or to suck on what everything. Maybe we just, I don't know. I guess we kind of do just suck on everything, trying to get milk out of it when we're babies. But we're not blank slates, and that can be evidenced by the fact that deer and mice, not so much mice, but deer, baby deer, comes out of the womb and already knows how to walk. A human child takes like 9 months to figure that out before they start taking steps. But yeah, there has to be some knowledge, some kind of like there's instinctual knowledge. I guess it's passed down. I like to, I think it's kind of like a genetic memory. I used to think of it as, or call it, but whatever it is, every creature knows what it needs to know to survive as a baby for its babyhood. Human babies don't do much except for scream. What knowledge is that? What inherent knowledge is demonstrated by a child? I guess human children don't show a lot of instinct. But I don't know. If you made an angry face at a newborn baby, would they know? Would they instinctually know that, you know what I mean, that not to trust you? Or if because we all just like smile at babies. Does the baby instinctually know that that smile means that, it means friendliness, or, or does the baby born, terrified at the smile and has the eye, is like, oh my God, you showing me your teeth because you're going to eat me? I don't know. I don't know. What instincts do human children show? Not really a lot, eh? There's a lot of babies don't show much, but they do have some, right? Baby deer know how to walk, and other babies freshly born of different kinds know how to do certain things. Like, well, even baby chickens know how to walk right away. And I stick their beaks in the water. They know they need to drink water, right? Nobody has to show them that. They're not started on milk either. Baby chickens come out of the egg that day. I dip each of their beaks into the water so they all know where the water is. I let them just feel it on their beak. That's another weird thing, eggs. Because that's how perfect things are designed. Like, in a materialistic viewpoint, so a baby chicken is born with a little tiny piece of beak, falls off like the first day or two. But it's called an egg tooth on the end of their beak. It's just a little piece of calcium that falls off shortly after they're born, and then their beak fills in with beak later. But this egg beak is how they get through the shell, they get through their egg shell. Another interesting thing is if you ever look top of an eggshell, like the more pointy end, you'll notice that there's like a membrane that's attached to the shell everywhere, except for at the very top. There's like a little air pocket there. That's there so that the baby bird has that air pocket that they can breathe in before while they're working on getting out of their shell. All right, so they've got a pocket of air, which is enough air for them to, as they work. Who the hell designed that? That's like something you would design for somebody. All right, and it's not like how did nature just organize that? It's a little too perfect. But not only that, how does the little baby bird who's in an eggshell's never been out of that eggshell know, hey, if I poke my head up here, I can get air? Maybe they, you know what I mean? Or how do they even know that they need to break out of the eggshell? They're just in there. They're like, with the hatch, like the air pocket thing. It's like, how would they even know to look for an air pocket? Okay, you need the air. You need air. You might get desperate and you start doing things. Would every baby bird be born doing that? But who the hell, like, who designed the air pocket, man? The air pocket in an egg is fucking amazing. That to me is just like, how could you deny there's a God, man? Like, who in the fuck, like, how else did that happen? It just happened, right? But even like the fact that every acorn contains the blueprint for an entire fucking oak tree. How the hell does the acorn know to grow? Like, know how to, like, it's just like, how does this just add water turn into that? Just add water and sunlight and it turns into that. Like, how? Like, this world is fun. It's cool. I like to contemplate things. Anyway, so the part of hypnosis I found that it actually worked for me was conditioning. So what I did was I would condition myself. So I would look at. I read books on body language, right? So I learned confident body language, and then I just continued to practice confident body language all the time until I became comfortable. That's all conditioning is. Like, the brain just rewires itself over, you know what I mean? If you just practice good body language, before you know it, just becomes second nature, and you just automatically do it. That's one of the things from my pickup days, or whatever, those days of my life that I still carry. But yeah, human beings not knowing anything, being blank slates, is not true, even though for mind control, hypnosis, NLP reasons, it works, right? It's the way you need to kind of think of human beings that way. And another thing that was said during this video, anyway, he was talking about how, like, this guy Watts, this psychologist named Watts, said that like, there was no soul; it was all just mechanical. And that's the way you have to look at it. From like hypnosis, mind control, NLP perspective. What it is that every single thing that happens, see, the way I would describe it, the way I used to describe it when I try to teach this stuff, which I wasn't a very good teacher of, admittedly, because people couldn't understand what the hell I meant, or what, I couldn't understand the usefulness of it. Anyway, so what's it called? Elasticity, neuroplasticity. Yeah, neuroplasticity. Okay, good. Neuroplasticity is something that was something that I used a lot in my concepts of the mind, and it's a good way of thinking about how the brain works. And when you think about your own life with that, an understanding of neuroplasticity will help you understand why anytime you turn on the radio or the TV, you're being brainwashed. Like, the brain is just constantly writing itself. It's just what it does. And everything you experience writes itself as a program on the brain. Whether it's the TV, whether it happened or didn't happen, it could be the TV or somebody telling you a story. It doesn't matter, your brain. So what happens is nothing happens in the brain other than electricity, right? Like, my eyeballs, light comes into my eyes, electricity sent from the eyeballs, electrical signal sent from the eyeballs to the back of the brain, the visual cortex, where it's decoded, and I experience sight in the back of the brain, but no actual light comes into my eyes at any time. Right? Same as I eat ice cream, it goes down into my belly, sensors in my tongue are sending signals through my nervous system into my brain that are telling me that flavor, texture, temperature, all of it. It's all just electricity in the brain. I've never actually tasted the ice cream. Right? Like it benefits the system for people to think like this. Like, oh yeah, it's just having ice cream. You know what? And not thinking in terms, not realizing these things is nice for us humans to, we think we're experiencing things and stuff like that. But so sometimes, like, too much knowledge is not so much fun. Anyway, so yeah, you eat ice cream, it's just electricity in the brain, whatever. Same as I watch a TV, say I learn something new, right? So I'm learning trigonometry. What does this look like in my brain? It's just fucking electrical signals going off every which direction, right? So if I, like it's like a computer. But every new thought is a new neural pathway into gray matter, right? So the brain, that's all that happens with the gray matter in the brain is neural pathways from place to place connecting to each other, the new ones being formed and old ones being strengthened, right? So yeah, that's shit. So yeah, we can think of, so if you want to like conditioning again. Okay. Here, this is a concept called the onion mind, right? So you're newer. So from the time you're born, there's a version of you, personality, right? There's preferences, a whole anything that could be used to describe you is here in this ball. But as you grow older, the ball grows more layers. So it's like I'm 2 years old and I'm watching Sesame Street. In this version of reality, this is who I am. These are my fears, the types of thoughts that I have, everything that happens in the brain at my 2-year-old self. Well, now my 4-year-old self has had new experiences, new ideas. Some things that I might have thought in my 2-year-old brain no longer fit. So those neural pathways have not been strengthened. They've kind of been withered by something new, right? So it's like, or let's say, I'm 10 years old and I'm the most confident kid in the world. Oh, my buddy Travis. So let's say I'm 10 years old and I'm the most confident kid in the world, right? I have no fear of speaking my mind. I've got, the world's just beautiful. This is the way I see the world, whatever. I go to a new school at 11 years old, and now I'm 11 years old and I'm getting picked on, right? I'm getting picked on. So now all my beliefs are completely new beliefs. But those 10-year-old beliefs are still in there, right? Some of the beliefs that I believed when I was 10 have only been strengthened since my 10-year-old self. Some of the beliefs have changed, right? New information has come in and my brain has rewired itself and written itself with this new information. So new neural pathways have been formed because that's all that anything is. Every experience, every memory, like everything happens in the brain. Mostly you can think of as neural pathways. Every behavior, anyway. Well, behaviors. And that was something that I heard today too. He said, human beings are just a set of pre-programmed autopilot responses to stimuli. That I have said myself thousands of times. And that's honestly the way I viewed people. I viewed people as sets of pre-programmed autopilot responses to stimuli. That's it. And these walking computers that could be hacked and programmed. It was bad. Like it's not a good way. Like I can't look at people like that anymore. I don't. Even if I were to even think about, say, if I were to try to study psychology again or anything like that, it would be through like a Jungian archetype type of perspective, because the mechanics of the brain I know enough about. I don't care anymore. I wouldn't even get into any kind of persuasion anymore, other than I would like to help people to be able to write new programs on themselves. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I don't want to write programs on you. It's, just kind of have a moral thing against that now, right? But yeah, so you got the onion mind. You've got all your sets of pre-programmed autopilot responses that you had when you were like a baby. And then as newer and newer information comes in, new versions of you keep getting written, and you keep becoming, you know what I mean? These new personalities over top of each other, but you're still there. Even the 2-year-old that's still there. So if I go into a hypnotic state, I can pull up a memory or a place of myself being or say I'm an 8-year-old kid, and I have some situation I want to relive in my mind as myself as an 8-year-old kid. Go into hypnosis, bring up and can relive that experience completely. And because it's all right there, everything of you that has ever been, the 8-year-old you is still there under the layer of the 15-year-old you, and then under the layer of the 20-year-old you, however old you are. Because each of the you from this moment to the you to the next moment are different slightly. It's like the law of change in this world. It seems weird, right? I don't want to talk. I won't discuss hypnosis anymore because, I won't teach it. There's another thing they were talking about: how sexual liberation becomes enslavement, and it's the truth, right? So it's like, well, you can see how crack addiction enslaves you, right? It's easier to see. It's harder to see, I guess, so much how pornography addiction enslaves you until you start looking. But on this video, they shared several case studies of rapists who had gotten to the point like they were praying to God to stop them from being rapists, but they were still rapists. And it was like the only thing that could get them off. And sometimes when people link like sex to murder, and they hate that they kill people, but they're addicted to the feeling of sex while they murder somebody, or ejaculating while they murder somebody. It is all, but all behaviors are conditioned. It's just that's where sexual deviancy can lead. And it can only lead there. All sexual pornography can only lead to destruction, because now you're chasing orgasms, and it does only lead to, and even if, weird thing is you can change yourself though, right? Because like for me, for a couple of years, I was on and off celibate, like meaning that I was like celibate and relapsed a lot over those couple of years, and continued to build myself up until I don't know how long it was, but by the end I was going a lot longer, between at least a month between my slips, maybe longer. I never really kept track of But I used to think of like how how long I went. I would know roughly how long I went between slips. Uh, Roughly, I would know, but I didn't like write it down or anything. And since I'm no longer doing it, I guess I kind of forget how long some of my longest streaks were and stuff like that. But I did do that, but then I got worried about my prostate, so I was like, okay, well maybe uh, a balanced approach to masturbation is better than not masturbating at all. Uh, I thought, which doesn't seem bad. So what I've learned from that though is that you don't always have to go further and further into deviancy uh, when it comes to sex. As long well, that's the thing. See, my thing about masturbation now is like I won't look at anything in order to masturbate. So I won't masturbate and look at anything. Uh, I try to like I'll just use my imagination. It's my thing now, and it's. I'm not sure though if it's a good thing or not. I'm not sure. And I don't know much about prostate health and stuff. I don't know if I've got this. I don't know. I don't know. The thing that was bugging me I was because I was having some symptoms of like a bit of a swollen prostate, but not like I wasn't like getting up to pee in the middle of the night a ton or nothing like that. It wasn't like, but I was like, fuck, I better not. Like I don't want to have those problems, you know, because I didn't really think I would live to be 45, and here I am, 45 years old, and I don't look like I don't see any signs that I won't live uh, considerably longer. I might not. Who knows what'll happen? I guess it'll all be God's plan. But then that's the thing too. Then why would I worry about the prostate? Why wouldn't I just follow God's plan? But who knows, man? I don't know. But I have learned that you can masturbate and it can be balanced. You can just, uh, just use your imagination. And as long as you never, right? So it's like you don't have to go into this weird shit either, man. It's like you'll adjust to whatever it is you masturbate to, or you condition. So whatever you do, whatever habits you do, strengthen gray matter or strengthen your neural pathways in through the gray matter. That's what a habit is. So anytime you repeat anything, that's why the first time you practice guitar, you suck. The 10th time, you're better than you were the first time, but you still suck. The 1000th time, you're pretty good. Now you can kind of do it on your own. It's like driving a car. Let's say first time you get the wheel, you suck at it. First few months at it, you have to pay attention to every little thing, and you got to be looking at you're developing the habits. But after a few months of driving or a few years of driving, all the habits are natural. That's not even a year, like 6 months of driving, and you're comfortable. You're just like, hey, you're talking to the guy over here, adjusting the radio, and you're perfectly fine operating the car, and everything's just an automatic habit that happens on your own. Your body it's just do it. You're talking to the guy in the passenger seat. You're looking forward. Your body's doing everything it should do, but you're really just talking to the person beside you, right? Because the act of driving has become an automatic response. It's been complete. It's automatic. It's become subconscious, right? They say 90. A lot of metaphors that they use in like hypnosis and NLP to describe things aren't actually physically the way the brain is actually physically structured, right? It just helps for like an operating standpoint to think of like the front of the brain as being like where the brain is conscious, and the back of the brain is being unconscious and being 90% of your brain mass. But the brain is actually structured a little bit differently. You've got organs in the middle of the brain. You've got two different lobes and everything else. But like sometimes when we like, it's using a model. So the model that I use for hypnosis, most people use for like hypnosis is, conscious and unconscious. Conscious being the front of the brain, and subconscious being deeper into your brain, or into your mind, where there's like no depth of consciousness, or mind control that's done while the person's completely awake is no different than mind control done under hypnosis. It's just under hypnosis you can get like responses, but it's no different. It's no different. Mind control that happens like awake is no different from mind control that happens under hypnosis. The two are you don't need state. You don't need a state. It's not about so in traditional hypnosis, you have this concept of state, or the state of hypnosis, or the hypnotic state, or the trance, depth of trance. But it's a foul. If there is no depth of trance, it's not. Your whole life is a trance. Your whole life is just a daydream. Your beliefs are shaping your reality. Who you are is who you believe you are. And if you can condition a new belief into you, you'll condition new behavior. You know what I mean? That new belief will now branch out into new behaviors. And new behaviors will transform even further beliefs, which will now transform even more behaviors. Right? There's got that. It's a cycle. It's like a positive feedback cycle that happens. But that's the way everything works, right? So it's like I would tell myself, what would I do? One exercise I used to do was to hold a pen in my mouth like this. And I'd sit there and smile. Then when I went out in public, I would just do this. And people would look at me like I had 3 heads. Because the reason why is that, like, there's always micro body language things. So what do they call those? Micro behaviors, right? So even though I think I'm practicing great body language, I feel uncomfortable as hell. And so there's like tells that people can tell that I don't feel confident just smiling. Because honestly, if I were on the exact same bus with the exact same people today, just sitting there, nobody would look at me odd for smiling. It's just what I do now, right? It's a natural behavior. But when I was learning how to smile, it was the opposite of a natural behavior. So that's one thing. That is something that we are doing in our lives all the time. Is we are we're programming ourselves. All right. Every action, everything that you do is building your personality, right? Every behavior is writing new programs in the gray matter of your brain. So, and they do become natural. It's just, and that's the best way to use kind of, if you're going to use hypnosis, the best way to do it is like that. Just condition yourself and change yourself, behave differently in new ways, and you'll become that different person to an extent. But then it also goes into like your thinking. I guess that's all you got to do is you just got to be on the upswing. That's why I wouldn't hypnotize anybody anymore, because I'm too scared that I'm wrong, that I don't know. I don't know if I would like to help people to have tools to be able to change their lives. That would be great. But I no longer want to change you, change anyone. I don't want to look at people as just things anymore. It's just how I did for a long time. And I can't do that anymore. Oh, I need a water. Anyway, I'm still on a big trip too about the world. Why I think that well, there's some kind of a war going on in the world between principles and people, and I don't understand it all at all. But I can see the signs of just something isn't right now. Maybe something isn't right, but a lot of people seem discontent. But then a lot of people seem like, yeah, it seems everybody's got other enemies. And has the world always been like this? And I was just too young to know or care. But the weird thing is that in the reality, so on the computer or on my smartphone, that's what you see all the time. You're seeing news stories telling you about all these hardships people are having. But then, like, my lived experience among homeless people, they didn't seem too bad, but I wasn't among homeless, like, I wasn't among like families of homeless people and stuff. I had met some senior citizens that had lost their place to live, couldn't afford to get a new place to live on with their pensions. Right away, they had to stay in a homeless shelter for a bit and save up their first and last month's rent to get another apartment in another senior's place. I've seen that, and that's sad. That's sad because the Salvation Army it's rough like jail almost. It's not as rough as jail. They're a little, I don't know. I guess there's some. They're pretty. It's pretty bad. They're thieves. So not every homeless person is a thief, mind you, not at all. But there are thieves in there, and you will be stolen from, even if they really like you. If they're hurting for drugs, they're gonna steal your shit. Or even if they don't like you for some reason, well, I don't know. They're dangerous. It's not a place for fucking like a 90-year-old, like 80-year-old guy to be. And there was a lot of people in there like that. And then yeah, not a lot, but that was years ago too. That was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. So I don't know. I don't know what it seems that it's gotten worse. I don't know if it's gotten worse or not. It was still the same, but I was talking to somebody that was telling me about people living in tents in Hamilton. You could see them and shit, and I was like, oh man, that's sad. Like at that point, there's something that's a war being started, man. Kind of sad. This shouldn't happen. Not maybe. Who knows, man? That's the world is. We're coming into hard times. Despair, it seems. No inspiration. Everybody's waiting on AI to solve the world's problems. I think the world's problems are solved in the opposite way. I think going back to horse and buggy will solve the world's problems, to be honest. So I can, like, I do. I think going back to horse and buggy using technology as a tool instead of as a like it's great that I have a sawmill and I can mill lumber and stuff. But like I love doing it. I don't need a robot doing it for me. Right? I can't take we gotta stop taking we need work. Our ancestors were probably happier people than us because they just enjoyed their day-to-day life was more work. And see we seem to be happier when life is harder. Like, I think the modern crisis today is that we have too much, we're too spoiled, too entitled. And honestly, maybe well, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, because who cares if our officials are corrupt? The officials have always been corrupt. But I guess when we believe the lie of their nobility, of them being somehow noble, maybe it invigorated us more. But that's the thing, man. There's no physical reason why we can't like have a rejuvenation of Canada just as it is. And honestly, I think if everybody just got back to doing physical jobs, physical work, well, then again, I was thinking today too about how once a year I'll go to work for like a week or 8 days or so. Uh, this year it was 8 days. I think last year it was 6 days. And I made nearly $2,000 in that time. And like that's take home after, but it's like 60, 14, 16-hour days, 18-hour days. It's a lot. They're long days. I think the longest day I did was 20 hours the last day last year, they're but I love doing it. I'm just picking the rocks out of the potatoes off the conveyor belt, and I'm working super long days, just listening to the rattle of potatoes coming down a potato belt all day with three other guys. you know, I love it. But if I had to do that all day, every day, all year round, I would kill myself. I would not do that. Like, you know? And I think that about life and about work, right? Like having to go to work in order to live creates a miserable life if you don't enjoy work. But if you are going to work for yourself, you okay, I'll do some work over here for this guy over here, do some work over here for this guy over here, raising some chickens and making some money here. You know what I mean? You got like a diversified little bits of money coming in from diverse little ways. And you got different jobs you can do and different ways you can earn your income and earn the way you live, earn your bit of money. Then in that way, your life is always yours, right? And you can't really create a system of that for everyone. But it is something that anybody can do. Well, I guess God has to do it for you, I guess, because I wouldn't have been able to do it, but that's the weird thing about this life, man. It seems that if your heart is in the right place, then God will just move everything for you and do everything for you. And when your heart's not in the right place, God will do everything to help you to get your heart in the right place. I guess like no matter what, we're never gonna be like perfect. None of us is gonna be perfect. We're not meant to be perfect. If we were perfect, we would be with God. Right? But we can always get better. And that's the part of Christianity that I like. I like Christianity for that. We can always be better. We can always do better. We can always help the next guy. But the thing is, I like that too about Jesus. It's like, fuck, man. Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he'll eat for the rest of his life. And I think that we've lost that too. I guess in the digital age, skills are becoming less and less important because we're doing less and less things for ourselves. But what does that cost us, right? If we become a species that's just experiencing reality instead of a species creating reality. Ooh, fuck, it's a slippery slope, eh? Especially when AI starts creating realities that are indistinguishable from real reality. That's a motherfucker, eh? We're on the verge of that happening. Once AI can, as soon as we reach the singularity, that's it. But that's the demiurge. Oh, shit. A soul trap and a demiurge, eh? Shit. And it is, man. The archons, your vices. That's what makes you. It's not, and that's what makes you a slave. So that's what makes all of us slaves. Is our vices. It's our vices that make us slaves and hold us here. I got a lot. I got vices too. Huh. Our vices. Motherfucker, man. So I mean, it's impossible to always to have everything right all the time. You never really know. All you can do is really speculate. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. You never want to really know. That's the problem with the Bible being a book and your conception of God only coming from the Bible, because it stops you from trying to get closer to God, really. You know? In a way. It just takes you away it takes you away kind of from God. You stop looking for God in the world, I think. And in your life, and trying to understand God in your life. Because all you have is your own human experience to understand God through. Really. You know what I mean? Unless you believe that the only way you can understand God is the Bible, then I don't believe that. That's where I get like a huge thing. I guess I get a huge difference between like myself and a Christian. Yeah, man, like my search for God will never end. Never. I'm never. It's like, oh no, my answers. I can't answer any questions. I can tell you, Jesus feels right, man. I like him. It's hard to try to live like that. And should you always turn the other cheek? Seems that in life, well, yeah, you should. Sometimes just, and yeah, no, you should not have malice in your heart. Ever. Yet we do. But that's the thing about life, man. That's what we come here for. We come here and work on ourselves in this world. Hopefully, hopefully we come to this world and work on ourselves. Anyway, I've been on here way long enough, and I've completely come off the topic I was on. So.